Hello guys, welcome to our channel. We post amazing revenge stories daily. Today's first story posted by you /hop off my duck bro. Cheat on me and I'll ruin your life for everybody you touch. Ronnie was a serial cheater throughout high school, but he was more than that. He was manipulative. He would blow through relationships, typically 4 at a time. They would only ever last a week to a couple months before the girls would catch him cheating. He'd proceed to leak their nudes or spill their secrets, and move on to a new demographic of women. He was charismatic and scapegoated his problems onto his dying father. It didn't matter anyhow, he would destroy the victim's reputation until they weren't trusted anyways. Despite this, I was in love. I was his side piece through it all. Morally, I knew it was wrong, but I had never been in love before. Besides, he wasn't lying to me like the other girls. He was honest about the fact he was cheating. I was special. I stuck it out. 2 years later and he's fallen in love with me too. Or so I thought. He vowed to give up cheating, even gave up porn just to have me love him back. I accepted it. We planned to marry. He was always so smart about his manipulation. When friends blocked me randomly, or called me abusive, I thought it was just a misunderstanding. When people began to become aware of deep, personal secrets, I thought maybe I had slipped up during a conversation. No one ever told me Ronnie had called me abusive, a cheater, or a liar. I never knew he accused me of being the things he secretly was. He would insult me late at night, before bed, and then claim he didn't remember in the morning. He would slip sly comments into our talks, just enough to make me doubt myself, but never question him. He was a master at gaslighting until I hated myself and only wanted to please him. I was head over heels in love, despite all of it. He would casually slap me, never when I was upset, but when I said things he didn't like. He would slap me across the face, and I would be too shocked to speak. He followed it up by laughing and playing it off as okay to do, or a joke, so I wouldn't fight back. If I expressed it was wrong or told anyone, he said I was misunderstanding a playful tap. Halfway through our relationship, I followed work to another state and maintained a LDR with him. It was my dream. I wanted so badly to stay. But after 8 months, I gave up my home, my pets, and my job to move 1,000 miles across the country to live with him again. I had literally nothing and was absolutely penniless. 3 months after this, I caught him cheating. He had asked a girl on a date via an alt Twitter account. I was hurt, but ultimately it wasn't so bad, so I forgave him. The seed of doubt was already planted, however. 2 months later, I snooped through his phone and noticed he had several Reddit accounts saved to Chrome. I vaguely recalled he used Reddit to view content before, and I got a bad feeling in my stomach. I began guessing his common email/password combos. I got 5 hits total. They were more than I expected. I figured maybe he was lying about not watching porn, which is not a big deal to me, but for 6 months he had been using these accounts to cheat on me using hookup and porn subreddits. I confronted him. He screamed, telling me he had already apologized to me for cheating a few months ago, and I needed to quit making him sad. That he had already said sorry, and I wasn't going to get anything else. He explained that he had continued to cheat because he feared I would leave, and he wanted a second option. I spent a week and a half sobbing. I had nothing but this man, and I had never been good enough for him. I was destroyed. He screamed at me nearly every day, telling me my crying was annoying, that my depression made him uncomfortable. Telling my friends I was guilt-tripping him over something that didn't happen. Finally, I snapped. I had wasted all of my high school and early adult years with a man who did nothing but walks on me. I went back to Reddit and counted every person he had flirted with or exchanged messages with. I began to voice record every conversation. Screenshot every text. Next, I downloaded Tinder and Bumble. For every girl he cheated on me with, I ducked a guy behind his back. When we went out with friends, I began to act more and more sad, and slowly dropped in conversation how Ronnie had been yelling at me the night before, and that it had upset me. I began to vent to his friends and show them every screenshot. Then I emailed his mother, his grandparents, and his work voice recordings of him screaming at me. I asked his boss if his company supported domestic violence. I cried to his mother and she held me as I vented my frustrations, explaining how she had been cheated on by Ronnie's father. Ronnie began to scapegoat again. He told me he was sick in the head and his depression was causing him to act like that. I knew he was attempting to gaslight me. When we were young, I was so in love with him that I saved almost every photo and text he had sent me to a OneDrive. I found all the times he had admitted to leaking nudes, cheating, and ruining girls' lives. I got in contact with each of the girls, making one big group chat and sending them every bit of evidence I could find. These were then posted all over Facebook. He had dreams of getting into politics. I joined every political group in our area and pretended to be interested in joining. I befriended the members and casually dropped into conversation how Ronnie had cheated on me and verbally abused me and ruined other people's lives. They would inquire more. I would vent and show them the mountain of evidence I had collected. Ronnie was still unaware I had done it. He spent the night screaming and crying about how no one liked him and he wasn't sure why. He had lost his job. His friends and family wouldn't speak to him. He was being publicly shamed on social media, and his political group had ousted him. I finally dropped it onto him that I had done it, and I was leaving. During all this, I had secretly removed what little money I had from his bank account and contacted distant relatives and asked for a place to stay. I was leaving. He didn't have anything left to abuse or manipulate. I don't have a solid ending for this. I just wanted to say duck you, Ronnie. I wasted my youth being abused and I won't stand for it anymore. Here are some comments. Oh my god, a very similar thing happened to me. A guy I met through friends, slept or flirted with just about everyone I knew, wormed his way into my friendships and slagged me off to them. I told them all he was bad news, and then finally he slipped up. He posted nude photos he had taken of me on FetLife, and a girl sent me screenshots over Twitter. I ruined his job, his relationships, and his friendships with that evidence. He was trying to worm his way into the music scene, so we outed him on the respective Facebook groups. He's now banned from venues. His name is Muck, and all my friends apologized for the shit they put me and other girls through. Glad you got out. And good for you for having the strength and letting his friends, family, work, and political affiliates what he was like. Good burn. This is definitely nuclear. You ended his life as he knew it. He deserves the karma you gave him. Good job for getting through this and getting rid of that verbally, physically, and emotionally abusing, manipulative asshole out of your life. He deserves all the shit you gave him. Perfect revenge. That being said, he admitted to you multiple times about leaking nudes of girls, cheating on them, and you were happily the side chick? Why? And what kind of a revenge is sleeping with a guy every time he cheats? How would that affect him? Getting to our today's second story and final story, posted by you/sadbitchdecade. Pyramid scheme scammer ends up paying in the end. About 6 or 7 years ago, I was trying to enlist into the military. I ended up not joining, but that's a story for another time. At this point, I was led to believe I was about 4 months away from leaving for boot camp. I was running out of savings and needing a part-time job for some spending cash while I waited around. So I did what any enterprising 20-something would do and searched Craigslist for jobs. I normally hate sales jobs, especially those based on commissions, but figured it would be a great way to earn some extra cash short-term. Found a few job listings that looked promising and put out some applications. A few days later, I received a call from David. He was opening up a new store and needed associates. He liked my resume and asked if I'd be available for an interview on Friday morning. I was very upfront with him and let him know that the distance was a bit more than I'd normally drive for a retail job and asked what he was offering for an hourly rate to see if it was worth the drive. He told me that they were planning on offering an hourly rate in the mid-teens, along with commission. Seemed like an okay deal, so I agreed to be there Friday at 8 a.m. Friday arrives as a cold, rainy day. I wear a nice shirt and tie and drive in heavy traffic to the address David provided. I knew the area from a previous job and eventually found the strip mall I was looking for. However, I'm not seeing any signage for the company name that was listed. There is, however, one empty space with no signage and 2 people inside. Okay, maybe they haven't gotten the store set up yet. No big deal. I had arrived early, knowing how bad traffic can be in that area. While in my car, I witnessed a young lady in business casual dress remove a sign from the window stating retail space for rent. Call 1800 blah blah. Okay, a little weird, but maybe it's the first day in the space. I walk in about 5 minutes early, and immediately my BS meter goes from yellow to the highest level, black watch plaid. The tables are all simple plastic folding tables. The kind college kids would buy for beer pong while on a shopping trip to Target. The walls are plastered with laminated charts featuring tons of dollar signs, smiling faces from stock photos, and an organizational chart showing an all-too-familiar shape. A pyramid. God damn it. Alright, might as well have fun for a while to wait out traffic going home. The young lady in the dress approaches me, introducing herself as Cindy. She welcomed me to company name and asked me to have a seat. She sat at her desk, another plastic table, and pretended to go through paperwork. However, she was really just shuffling papers around. We get to chatting, and I ask her how long she's worked for David. She says she's been his secretary for about 6 months, and that I'm going to love it here. Eventually, a guy walks out of the back office. Early 30s, clean cut, wearing an ill-fitting suit from JCPenney's. As he is walking over, all smiles, Cindy says, "Oh, Dennis. Our newest recruit is here." The guy stops in his tracks and gives her a cold stare. "It's David, Cindy. We've been over this." He turns back to me and gives me his brightest hard to find good help these days smile. David sits me down and welcomes me, saying they're going to start with a group interview, and has me sit down in a circle of chairs. Eventually more people come in and sit down. David gets up and begins to thank us all for coming. He tells us about an exciting new opportunity from Cutco. He pulls out a set of knives and explains how with his company we can make as much money as we want, all while setting our own hours. He even pulls out a textbook, saying about how this company's revolutionary tactics have even been featured in college textbooks. He opened to a page, his hand covering parts of it, making sure we can all clearly see the words Cutco in large letters on the page. Sad to say, a lot of the other interviewees were very impressed by this. One pregnant girl seemed very excited that she could work around her pregnancy and upcoming birth. David was going on and on about how much money he's made and how hard workers will rise to the top quickly. At this point, David said he needed to take a quick phone call and gave us 5 minutes to have some coffee, chit-chat, whatever. As he stepped away, he left his college textbook behind. Oops. So I pick it up, find the earmarked page, and read. As I thought, it was all about pyramid schemes, and it had Cutco as one of the largest examples. It goes on to talk about how these are essentially scams, not economically viable, etc., etc. So I decide to share this all with the group. I explain how pyramid schemes work, and how he's just scamming us. They seemed incredulous, so I said when David gets back, to ask them about what we need to pay to get started. That finally got everyone to realize what was going on. David walks in a few minutes later, and one of the girls in the group asked David what we need to get started. Well, all you need is your first set of knives to demonstrate. You can sell that on directly or have them order one and keep that as your demo kit. Doesn't matter. Just have to pay the startup fees for it. And that's when all hell broke loose. One kid started to get up and tell him to go duck himself, saying he's wasting our time and he's an asshole for trying to pull this shit. The pregnant girl is crying because she thought she found a place that would allow her to work despite being pregnant. David is clearly confused and flustered and asking who told them all this. When it becomes apparent I'm the wrench in the machine, David gets upset and starts telling me to leave. People are yelling at David, David is yelling at me, Cindy is trying to tell everyone she never met David before today and didn't know what this bullshit was. Eventually we all walk out, leaving David behind. As I'm walking to the door, I see, leaning against the wall, the sign that was in the window before retail space for rent. Call 1800 blah blah. As I get into my car I dial the number. Eventually I get through to a person and ask about the property for rent at the location of David's company. The nice lady on the phone apologized, saying they had just leased that property out. I asked if she knew how long the lease was for, as I was really interested in the property. She said she wasn't sure, they hadn't done the official paperwork yet. They were on their way to the space to sign everything with the leaseholder in a few hours. I told her everything that had just happened to me, and about David using the space for a pyramid scheme. She got extremely upset, saying that this stuff happens all the time in the industry. They will go to sign and last minute the leaseholder will decide to opt out, after using it for some fly-by-night operation. She thanked me for the info, and I thought that was the end of that. Or so I thought. A few weeks later, I received an email from David, telling me how I ruined his life. About how the property management found out what was going on, and weren't refunding his down payment on the space. Saying he violated a clause in the paperwork he signed to hold the property. How he knew I was the one who called because I'm a terrible human being, etc., etc. Now he was out thousands for the space and supplies, how he only wanted to give us jobs and help us. It was a long, very angry email, with several things said about me and my mother. So I called 1800 blah blah again, spoke with the same lady I did before, and she was very interested in an email from David where he essentially admitted to what he was trying to do. Said it would help them all in the legal proceedings. And don't you know, I was more than happy to send that email along to her. Her lawyer said it should be an open and shut case at that point. I like to think I'm a helper. TLDR, because someone complained, read the damn story or don't. Here are some comments. I went to their bullshit orientation and training seminars 10 years ago. Can I still get the $40 check they owe me for wasting a few hours of my time many moons ago? OMG. When I started reading this I was thinking, is this vector marketing? And then lo and behold, it's vector. So I went to a vector sales pitch once, got tricked into it. The guy started to give me shit about 15 minutes into his spiel because I wasn't taking notes. So I asked him if he really wanted to ask me that, and he got indignant and told me to leave. So I stood up, quickly explained his pyramid scheme to the entire room, and asked if anyone else wanted to save themselves the time and walk out with me. More than half the group came with me, probably one of the most vindicated feelings I'd had in my entire life. Seriously, about all I said was, okay, so you only pay us for the actual sales call, which might be about half hour or an hour. We get a terrible commission of that sale. We get zero pay for any other work we do, including all prospecting, which you don't help with either, so you expect us to sell to our friends and family. This is a pyramid scheme, and you are a douche. Those scissors are the shit, however they are the worst knives I have ever used in my entire life. Now he was out thousands for the space and supplies. But that's just a drop in the bucket to what he's making every hour, right? First class revenge. I can imagine you standing in front of the others like a professor, getting them all riled up. Getting ahead today. Final story is posted by you/blatant honesty 6055. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband exactly why I can't dance every night when I get home from work? Background: I, 35, am married to my husband, 37, of 6 years and working mother, nurse of 3 kids. We were at my in-laws' house for Thanksgiving dinner, and every family member was able to make it. We were at dinner table when my BIL started talking about his girlfriend's newfound hobby, which is dancing, and said she's been dancing for him every night after she gets back from her Zumba classes. The men in the family clearly got into tested, and they kept talking about it in details as me and other women were just rolling our eyes. My husband then and all of a sudden just threw his fork and looked at me and said, "Hey Jess. Fake name, why can't you dance for me when you come home every night like Bill's GF name does?" I was blown away by his question and really thought he was joking, but no. I looked around and saw everyone staring at me with my cousin-in-law sarcastically singing the Dance Monkey song. I flipped out and said, "I don't know, maybe because when I get home I cook, then start my cleaning routine, then feed the kids dinner, then do the dishes, then get our 8-month-old to sleep, then clean the messy bathroom and bedroom, then suddenly fall asleep the minute I get in the bed from being exhausted from working on my feet all day long, then coming back to messy home and demanding kids and a husband. God, what a terrible wife I must be to not find time to dance." He froze in his place and the entire table got quiet. Then my SIL's jerk cop husband, who hates my husband's guts, started laughing, then said, "Good God, guess turkey, I mean chickens, really coming home to roost, huh?" My husband's face was so pale he just told everyone after noticing how awkward things got that he needed a minute outside. He got up and walked out, and I followed him, and he flipped out at me saying, "Great job making Thanksgiving awkward and embarrassing him in front of his family like that." An argument ensued and he said he wanted to leave after I caused him to be in an awkward position in front of family. We got home and he shut down completely. I stayed with the kids and couldn't sleep even after I called my MIL, his stepmom, saying good on me for calling him out as he stepped out of line, but she could be biased since she hates his guts too, and I just felt guilty when I think about what happened, thinking I mishandled the situation and ruined Thanksgiving for everyone. Am I the a-hole? Here are some comment. The fact that multiple family members hate his guts is also a pretty big indicator that the husband's just an a-hole. Edit, because y'all keep missing this, OP's MIL is her husband's stepmother. She still hates his guts, but is not the woman who birthed him. Not the a-hole, he embarrassed you first by putting you on the spot publicly regarding your lack of interest in keeping him entertained. Joke or not, it was completely inappropriate. You might have answered differently, smile and say, "I wish I could, but I'm so tired from kids and work," which doesn't assign blame to him as a husband. But I understand your frustrated response. By the way, why does everyone seem to hate him? Not the a-hole. Refusing to be a doormat doesn't make you an asshole. Have you considered why so many family members hate your husband? So your husband basically tells everyone at Thanksgiving dinner that you aren't being sexy enough and dancing for him every night like his brother's new girlfriend. He was somehow embarrassed when you pointed out that you work all day and have to clean up all his messes and deal with the kids. Yes, he was embarrassed because you pointed out that he was trying to embarrass you. Unfortunately, his stunt gave the other people who dislike him some ammunition, but that was not your doing. This is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please don't forget to hit the like button and comment below. If you don't want to miss such more videos, please don't forget to subscribe us.